Hey everybody, it's Darren and Trot. Hi Trot.
Darren Garman, how are you?
I am terrific, especially with everything that's going on out there, and I'm looking forward to having another awesome podcast episode with you here on the Heartland Multifamily Show, the place
For all things multifamily.
for all things multifamily, for everything multifamily. And we're going to talk this episode about crashes.
What kind of crashes?
Financial,
Okay.
market, financial crashes. I guess most market crashes are financial crashes, right?
Yeah.
Pretty sure. It's been in the news on and off quite a bit, actually over the last 3 to 5 years. You know, there's been a lot of speculation on when is the big crash going to happen. There's got, all of the signals are out there. They're all out there. We're going to have this crash. And it's kind of funny. You'll see some experts, we'll call them gurus, and they've been predicting a crash now for 5 years. Oh yeah, it's coming. It's coming. Here it comes.
That's
it's coming soon.
I wasn't vocal about
Here
it,
it
but I
is.
thought it was going to happen sooner. And who knows if it's
And
even
look, let's
really happening.
qualify that though, because in a lot of ways, you and I have talked about it too, and we've been right about it on kind of more of a micro level with some of the multifamily things that we've been seeing. We've talked about that and the discounted opportunities that we've been exposed to already and that are coming up. So I mean, there is some truth to it, but what we're really talking about is like the big overall, the big crash,
The Great Recession.
the big
next-
crash coming. Everything just crashes down. Not like a little sub-segment like the stock market or bond market or real estate. We're talking big crash, okay? And I think this is timely because recently, just within a few days ago, there was a huge drop, a huge correction in a lot of markets. I mean, we saw a big drop in the stock market, okay? We saw a big drop in gold, silver, what else? Bitcoin. A lot of investment places took huge dives here over the last few days. And you got calls and texts. I got calls and texts. I was telling you, Trot and I were talking, I'm laying in bed and my phone is like, vibrating like crazy, and it's, somebody telling me I need to be dumping this and selling that, and oh boy. And that really got me to thinking we should have a podcast about this, and really what, in our opinion, what you want to be thinking of, and maybe some actions you want to be taking when that word crash, appears multiple times in front of you during a given day. What you want to be thinking, what you want to be doing, what you may not want to be doing as well. Because not that I know everything, I don't. You know that. Not that I know everything, but I do have quite a bit of gray hair. I've been around the block just a few times and have seen my share of some pretty big financial crashes and been a part of them. And so I've got some pretty interesting perspective on it that I want to share with you, and hopefully you can get some value out of it. And I know you want to add to some things I'm going to be talking about. So let's talk about a crash. And so again, we're talking about most every financial market has a huge dip. Everything goes down in value, sometimes at significant speeds. And again, not just one segment of the market, not just another, but most every segment of every market crashes. And so what do you do? And so let's talk about the first 2 or 3 things you want to be thinking of once you start hearing, Trot, the word crash. So the first thing is you want to make sure that you have a really good foundational perspective with what's going on in terms of not being emotional about it. Okay? Not being emotional about it. So here's what I mean. So you can get multiple messages, multiple texts, or whatever notifications on your phone regarding almost any investment that you're in. That things aren't going well. And so, do you think most people live for the days that they can take a lot of risk, Or do you think that most people live to want to protect most of what they've got?
I think they're in protection mode.
100%. So most people are in protection mode. And so when those messages start coming across your phone, when you start hearing things, when more than one person is now chiming in and saying, oh, you better do this, you better do that, you better do this. It is natural for us to go into defensive mode and want to, man, maybe I need to be doing something. Maybe we need to be looking at protecting everything, or at least some part of what we've got. So it's natural to have that thought, but you got to tap the brakes here. This is when you tap the brakes, and you simply do this. You give yourself some time to do your own investigative work, look into credible sources of information before you decide to do anything. Okay? Before you decide to do anything. So here, let me give you an example of what the worst thing is to do. Okay, so tell me some bad financial news.
Hey, you mean hypothetical?
Yeah, hypothetical bad financial news. Crash in some area or areas. Give it to me. Tell it to me right now.
Jim Kramer just said the multifamily market's going to fall 25% in the next 2 days.
Oh, holy shit. So the worst thing to do is to get on X, okay, and just type in the search in X multifamily crash, because now you're going to see every person that is not in any way an expert in this field,
no qualification,
giving their
nothing.
opinion on what you should do, and most of them would probably be saying, "Oh, you got to sell." Okay, and then no, that's like the worst thing you can do.
And keep in mind, most of them probably don't own anything anyway.
Yeah, and I use X as an example, but it's like a lot of other platforms. Okay, you don't want to be making your decisions in speed as quickly as you possibly can. Okay? By the way, it's understandable to want to do that if you hear bad news like that, like we've talked about. But you don't want to be going and tapping into sources that are not credible in terms of what kind of information that you're getting. You want to tap the brakes. You want to take a few breaths, okay? And you want to think logically, okay, if this has any kind of legs to it, if there is any kind of substance to what I'm hearing about a market crash, where should I be going to get information? Who should I be contacting to dig into this a little bit more? Okay, and by the way, even once you find and get in touch with some credible resources that you feel are credible, that's never a guarantee, of course, right? But it's a lot better than doing what we know some people did here over the last few days. Is they heard that there's this big crash, they got on their phone, they saw all these notifications. Holy crap, I'm going to go ahead and start, hey, can I liquidate? Can we start to sell? Hey, I need to sell my ownership position. Things aren't going very good. We need to, and I started getting emails from some of our partners saying, hey, maybe I should take a look at something. Now just tap the brakes, okay? Give yourself a few breaths and start looking at things logically. Give yourself some time to do that, okay? And so, that was a few days ago. What has happened in most markets over the last few days?
Total correction.
Right?
Yep.
Yep.
Total correction.
So, did any of those come back a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. So, are we at a point where we should be selling everything?
No.
No. Right. Now, that's not, again, saying it's going to be the case every time, but you want to make sure you don't do the knee-jerk reaction with your investing, okay? Because remember, part 2 of what I want to tell you is you always want to be thinking long-term. You always want to be thinking long-term. Every single investment that you will ever be involved in will have ups, downs, peaks, and valleys. It's going to happen. And you have to be emotionally okay with that. That's part of investing.
Right.
That's part of it, is being emotionally okay with that. That's not to say that you're not going to have a little bit of maybe stress here and there, maybe a little bit of worry here and there. Of course, again, we talked about that's natural. But you've got to be thinking long term here. This can't be short term information equals short-term knee-jerk decisions, all you're going to do is lose money if that's what you do. Okay? So you got to be thinking long-term with what you're doing. Now, everybody's definition is different on what long-term is for them, depending on a lot of things: age, financial condition, what you own, what you're invested in, all that. Sure. But you've got to be thinking on more of a long-term time perspective than what's happening in the next 3 hours. You want to be thinking what's happening in the next 3 to 6 years. Okay. So that's number 2. Number 3 is opportunity when it comes to these kinds of things. Here's what most people do. Most people will hear the information, think there's a crash coming, and they'll think of how they can play what, Trot, did we talk about?
Defense.
Play defense. Okay? Sell, get out of this, take all my chips off the table now, I got to do it, know when to fold them, all that kind of stuff. Okay? Hardly anybody's thinking about, what can I buy here?
Right.
What can I be investing in here?
Right.
What can I be going in on and maybe doubling down on? See, you should also be thinking about that. You should also be thinking about that. So I can guarantee you that when it comes to especially multifamily, if there is, let's say, a huge multifamily crash, let's say similar to what you're seeing in a lot of office markets, a lot of cities with office buildings. I mean, they were purchased for $200 million 6 years ago. Now they're being sold for like $7 million, that kind of thing. Okay. If we have that kind of thing in multifamily, we're looking for opportunities.
Right.
We're looking for opportunities. And so whether it's your favorite stock that's gone down quite a bit, whether you're into, the commodities like gold, silver, maybe Bitcoin, maybe you're into that. Whatever you're into, you need to be thinking of, okay, now that it's down this much, is this now a good time to buy more? Is now a good time to buy more of this? Because it's not going to be here forever.
At that bottom price, you mean? It's not going to be at
right.
that
And it could
price.
even go lower.
Right.
I mean, you could buy it, let's just say $10 a share. Hell, it could go down to $2. But
Right.
again, if you get that long-term time perspective in there, and within 3 to 5 years it's $30,
Right.
you're going to be real happy that you were an opportunist when this happened and not necessarily just playing defense. Okay? And so what 30 years of being around crashes and seeing a lot of things has taught me is it is the best time for opportunity. And it's also the best time to keep a cool head, tap the brakes, just kind of get your information and your sources together, okay? Get a good idea logically where things are at, thinking more long-term time perspective. And once you go through that process, you will be better at making the right decision versus using just emotion, making a quick decision, and then regretting that decision later as a result. And by the way, Trot, do you think the closer we get to the end of this year, and we are recording this August of 2024, do you think we'll be seeing more of these kinds of ups and downs or less?
More. Yep.
Why do you say that?
Well, there's a lot of uncertainty with whether it be politics or financials. Then you can look at it from any direction. I think there's a lot of uncertainty that it could go one way or the other.
There's a ton of uncertainty. And here's what's weird about it. And this is another reason why people are making faster, more knee-jerk decisions when it comes to bad news before they give themselves time to really analyze what's going on. Everything now is happening super, super fast. Everything. I mean, look at what we've seen over the last 8 months, so far in 2024. It's like mind-blowing what we've seen, what we've been exposed to. I mean, we've been exposed to 8 years of craziness in the last 8 months. Everything is going super fast.
Right.
Okay, and so now we're like almost like predisposed to also be doing things super fast in a way as a result of that. So you're right. We will be seeing more of this kind of stuff. And so, Trot, are we saying if you get more bad news, you should sell?
No.
Are we saying you should buy?
Also, not necessarily.
No. We're basically saying tap the brakes, use some of that wisdom that you've got up here. If you don't feel that you've got enough to be making informed decisions, tap into those resources that you respect. Think long term of where you want to be financially 3, 5, 10 years from now with the decisions. And also ask yourself the question of, is this really an opportunity? Should I go into this as an opportunity versus playing defense? Okay. With each one of those questions, you will have different answers. But once you have those answers, you will be in a much, much better place to make the best decision you possibly can under the circumstances versus just making decisions based on your emotion.
And I think we've actually done an entire episode on this before, but I think planning and preparation of something really bad happening is important too, to kind of, if you're ready and expecting something, or at least plan for it, the emotional side of the suddenness kind of goes away a little bit, and you already have something set in stone, as if XYZ happens, I'm going to do ABC.
Yeah, you feel, and we've had a past episode where we talked about if the shit hits the fan, and
yes.
What are you really going to do? And we mean if the real shit hits the fan,
yeah.
Not that you're having a bad day or a bad week.
Right.
It's if it gets really bad, what are you going to do? And you're 100% right. Once you come to terms with, here's what I'm going to do, now you feel much more comfortable about making decisions and much more confident about making decisions, at least having played out, at least in your mind, maybe on paper, maybe both, and maybe even a little bit more than that, what you would do and how you would do it.
Right.
And that's actually another reason why people make emotional, quick decisions, is because they haven't gone through that process. And that's, of course, we've already gone through that podcast. It's a past podcast you're going to want to check out if you haven't checked that out. Trot, any final comments or thoughts regarding 30 years of crashes, what I know and what other people should know?
Well, I would recommend investing in things you really truly believe in as well, because if you don't, the second the shit hits the fan, you lose all faith in your investment. Mm-hmm. But if you really truly believe in what you're doing is the right thing, or you're passionate about it or whatever, I think again the really bad times aren't going to affect you quite as much if you truly believe in what you're
That's
investing
good insight.
in.
That's really good insight. I mean, if you're really behind, if I believe in multifamily or a company or whatever, and there's some rough seas,
yeah,
I'm going to feel much more confident in navigating the rough seas if I'm like, I'm in on
right.
this, versus I don't know, I kind of thought it was a good idea. Yeah. 100%. Good point. That's good perspective and good insight. So I think we've got some pretty good takeaways for folks on this episode, this market crash episode, and hopefully you've gotten some good takeaways. Trot, I know that you and I have talked a lot about this, and I got a feeling we're going to continue to talk about this. And this actually might be the start of a few other episodes, but let's start with this one. We appreciate you. We want to thank you for joining us on this episode of the Heartland Multifamily Show, the place
for all things multifamily.
For all things multifamily. Thank you, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. If you enjoyed this video and you want to make multifamily a bigger part of your investing world, make sure you click here on this video to discover the 3 easy ways to invest in and own your own multifamily property.